might have been like the Cincinnati Bengals when Hugh Jackson was the head coach.
Oh,
Or
okay.
no. Or the Browns. The Browns when Hugh was head coach. I don't know. Either way, it's been a minute. It's been a long time since I watched Hard Knocks, bro. And so I started to watch it just to check out Caleb Williams. Like it's an undrafted lineman on the team, and so like they had like a talent night where they make the rookies get up,
Singer.
say who they are, sing, and like they got to tell you what their signing bonus is. So like one of the undrafted rookies is like, yeah, my name is da da da. He's from Canada. He's like, my signing bonus is $20,000.
Did everybody start laughing at him?
I mean, they kind of went. I don't. Hey, did they laugh? I think they kind of cheered. They cheered. I think they cheered. Like when Caleb says his, I don't know if you've seen that clip on floating around on social media. He's like, my signing bonus is 25.5,
Yeah.
and like Tyson Bagent is like he like started spazzing because like I mean 25.5 just to put your name on a piece of paper, bro. Crazy. So yeah, man. So like I was watching that, and let me see if I can see what Simone Biles' net worth is. I mean, it's got to be tens of millions of dollars, bro. I mean, it's a guess.
I was wondering, I mean, obviously she's the Olympian of all Olympians, so you know what I mean? So it's just like, yo, what's the, like, what's Michael Phelps worth compared to like an NFL football player, What is
So according to Sportico, in 2023, she was the ninth highest earning female athlete. She made about $8.5 million before taxes.
and that's kind of crazy because
It is kind of.
it's like the 10th best wide receivers making $18 million a year.
Dog. I mean, what Hollywood Brown got? What, like 3 million?
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. So I mean, I know. Let me see if they got his information online. Let me see. He signed a 2-year, $4.7 million contract with the Bears. So I mean, he ain't far behind her, but again, that's just for 1 year. So who knows what she's made since?
I mean, at the end of the day, like her name is always going to generate, like, I feel like her name is always going to generate money. She can put her name on anything. Simone Biles.
Once she goes pro, and she starts doing like the little, the NBC special that I used to see, like, Dominique Dawes and
Right.
some of these other women do, like, she's still going to be raking in that bread. So she's going to be able to cash in for a bit, for a little minute. You know what I mean? So, good for her. So, yeah, I think she's the breadwinner there because, like I said, she's been racking up that bread a lot longer than he has, right? She's the most famous one in the family, higher prestige, all that good stuff, So, yeah, man. Let me get this little tweet thing. You've got anything interesting in the stack there that you're pulling?
So my buddy told me like that the Bobby Witt Jr. rookies are in 2022, and like Topps Chrome boxes are like really ones, like the good ones to get. So I'm at Walmart, and normally, like it's 2024 already. Like there's, we're a couple years removed. So normally, like the the shelves only have 24, 23 or whatever. So I look up, and there's like 3 boxes of Topps Chrome 2022. So I'm like, oh snap, I don't have any Bobby Witt rookies. So I'm like, let's see what what we got. And I mean, I don't know baseball that well, like I was actually looking at this card I just pulled because where'd it go? I didn't realize Brandon Marsh was the same rookie year as Bobby Witt. Like I thought Brandon Marsh had been around for a while.
Yeah.
And you're familiar with Brandon Marsh, right? Like he's real deal's lookalike. The guy that rose.
Yeah. That's the guy. He had the jersey on for the Phillies, right?
Old 35th anniversary, like rookie card, Brandon Marsh or whatever. So I was like, oh snap! I didn't really, I didn't realize that was the same year. So I just kind of gotta look them up, as I go. But Bobby Witt, and then what's the other guy named Julio something? Like they're like the 2 like really, really good rookies out of
Seattle.
Yeah, I think it's from Seattle. Yeah, Julio something.
Is it Julio Rodriguez?
Might be, yeah. Like they're the
Yeah.
two main.
Yeah, because he signed with the Mariners as an international free agent in 2017, made his debut in 2022.
Yeah. I mean, I pulled this Chet Holmgren. It's a really fire. It's like a Tiger parallel. It's numbered to 99, but it's not a rookie card. But still, like, that's probably the best thing I pulled since I've been opening boxes today. Yesterday, I think I showed you. Like I pulled this Hollywood or not Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy numbered to 99 out of a box, and that's good because they actually haven't even released this year's like actual cards as far as they're not college. This is the first like ones that they released, and so there's not a lot of Xavier Worthy Chief rookies out right now. So, but
Okay,
yeah,
what's up?
getting my crack, my fix in for the day.
All right. So, welcome to our show, Already in Progress. I won't go through the entire opening here. It's another episode of It's a Black and White Thing featuring A1 and A Ward. Please remember you can check out every episode of the podcast by going to the podcast app of your choice, wherever you find the good podcasts, hitting the subscribe button, leave a comment, leave 5 stars. You can check us out on YouTube by searching Brains and Bars. Rate, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's those boys again. You can follow us on all social media at Brains and Bars. It's Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and Twitter, by the way. Shout out Mama Ward in the building. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, man, we got a little interesting show. We're playing a little bit of catch up over the things that happened maybe the last couple of weeks. Talk a little bit of Olympics. Talk a little bit of battle rap. Talk a little bit of NCAA. This football season is right around the corner, and that makes me sad because that means cold weather is also right around the corner. But that's neither here nor there. But let's get into it, man. So the Olympics concluded last week. A fun 2 weeks, a great 2 weeks, lots of storylines, lots of great moments, lots of interesting events that we only pay attention to once every 4 years. And
Very
so
true.
we'll kick off Olympic coverage in that fashion. So I want to ask you, I'm going to start by asking, what's the sport that intrigued you the most during these Olympics?
Honestly, probably like volleyball. I was covering volleyball, like you know, I enjoyed watching volleyball heavily. I intrigued. I tried to get into polo, water polo. It was a little just too. I need to look up the rules on that kind of stuff. Maybe a little bit more. Handball was kind of cool. That was pretty cool. 3-on-3 basketball was a dud. Breakdancing was a dud. And it has nothing to do with USA not even being good in 3-on-3 basketball. Like it just looked dumb. Like
yeah, visually 3-on-3 basketball is probably not is the most interesting thing to watch.
Yeah. So that was just kind of lame. I watched some track and field. You know, I watched the 100, the 200, the hurdles. Watched a little bit of the shot put. Didn't catch any long jumps, anything like that. But there wasn't anything that outside of like volleyball where I was like, oh, what time does that start? You know, where I got to look it up and like wanted to follow it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than, you know, obviously the actual men's basketball, you know, team or whatever. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It kept me entertained, you know, a good 2 weeks of, you know, being able to watch that while sports are kind of, you know, no WNBA basketball, baseball still going on, but we're getting ready for football. So it was a good timing for it, definitely.
Yeah, I think the track I'm always interested in the track because, you know, that's the one sport where, granted, it is, at least in the States, is very expensive, but the cost of entry is not very high to get in to track and field. Can you run fast? Can you jump high? Can you throw this stick a long way? Or can you throw this ball a long way? You can? Bet. Let's go. Breakdancing, because of the foolery that happened with the Australian lady and breakdancing did become something that I tuned into because at later part of that second week. And once you got past, again, that one young lady got a lot of coverage for how bad she was. But if you actually watched the sport, you saw a lot of really cool people doing breakdancing. the one that you mentioned that I was into was handball. I feel like handball needs to take one player off the floor. It is really hard to score because you have six people and a goalie to try to get through. So it's a lot of dribble drive handoffs, so to
Yeah.
speak, to try to find an opening, and then now you're hopping on one foot and you're waving the ball every which way to try to find an angle before you land to get the shot off. So, but it's still one of those sports where I feel like America should be better at. Like, I feel like, okay, maybe you're not great at basketball, maybe you're not great at football, but you should have you tried handball, because I feel like that might be the sport for you if you can be physically dominating. Watching the women's rugby team basically win on like a kick six, if you will. I know nothing about rugby, but just watching that story of our women's team, which I guess hadn't medaled in a long time, and basically, like I said, they ran the clock out with the final score. That was pretty cool. Track and field always, like I said, is the one that I'm tied into other than basketball. So, yeah, I think those are the ones. And then you had like those cool stories that would pop up, like the man from, I think it's pronounced Turkey now. They no longer call it Turkey, who basically just pulled up and was just like, I don't need no lenses. I don't need no special poses. Let me just stand here with my hand in my pocket and get these shots off. So that was pretty dope, man. It was a pretty dope experience. And I'm not a Winter Games guy, so I probably won't be tapped in too much to that in 2026, because it's every 2 years. It's after the Summer Games.
I'm not a big skiing it's bobsledding. I'm not a big, I used to like watching Apollo Ono?
Apollo Ono. Yeah.
I used to watch that. That was pretty cool. Like, I remember back in like high school, maybe early 2000s or whatever, like being tuned in for his races.
Yeah. Now, bobsledding is always cool because of how fast they move, around the track.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably won't be tapped in too many
sports. Cool Runnings made us actually think that bobsledding was like fun to watch.
For sure. So yeah, but those are kind of the things that I tapped into, the sports where I wished I could play. So let me ask you this:
polo, like, man, I tore my labrum. I'm thinking to myself, watching that polo, like the way that they keep doing this or whatever, I'm like, bro, they got to have rotator cuff surgery and like labrum surgery, like there's no way.
Or are they really getting them sets in the gym? Like, you know what I'm saying? They skipping leg day. They're never hitting leg day. It's just all this muscle here, just working that, lifting weights.
It was like there's a shot clock, and then all of a sudden, like a foul would happen, and everybody would start swimming. Like,
you said okay, not the horse polo. You're talking about water polo. My bad. Yeah. I mean, like, I've read an article about water polo, and they're like, it's one of the more brutal sports.
I can see that
to play, because they're like, underneath the water, there's a lot of kicking, hitting, punching that's happening that you don't see beneath the surface.
I can see that now. It's a freaking oh man.
And so they're like, yeah, it can get pretty crazy when you're in a water polo match. So I wonder, did our women? I know they lost in the semifinals. I wanted to end up getting bronze, but yeah, man, like that. I mean, if I could swim, I probably would be more in. I enjoy watching water polo, but I
was thinking about soccer. It's like you run all the way the length of the field, and then it's turnover, and then you got to turn around and run all the way back. And I'm like, watching water polo, like, what's worse than running? Like a turnover and having to swim all the way back, and then get up and then find out you're going back the other way. It's like, bro,
and I mean, and having to hold yourself up, right? So I mean, because you're floating the entire time in this pool and keeping yourself up in this water while you're fighting with this other person who's trying to take the ball from you.
Yeah.
Scratching you, slapping at you. I don't know. Did they splash? Is it illegal to splash the water? Do you know to splash?
So, yeah. That's why I didn't understand some of the rules, because I would see all of a sudden they have the ball, the shot clock's not out yet, and then it's like they have to drop the ball and just start swimming. So I'm like, okay, what kind of foul was called, or what kind of?
I'm straight. I'm straight. Like, even if I knew how to swim, I'm good. Yeah. That just seems like that's a lot of work. And if I don't win, I need to fight somebody at that point. Like, it's either we're gonna win, and if we don't win, we hop out the water. Let's scrap. Let's do it and settle it like that. All right. So, let me ask you this then. So, from the Olympics, what's the moment that what's the big takeaway from this Olympics that you're going to remember?
Oh, the Steph Curry shot. I mean, I think that's probably number one. Noah Lyles 100-meter as well. Something personal to me was definitely the girl from St. Lucia, because I just got back from St. Lucia, so her winning the first ever medal for that country, and if I'm not mistaken, she beat Sha'Carri, right?
Yep, Sha'Carri, yep.
In the 100-meter, right?
Yep, she did,
so
like dusted her.
Yeah, it was super, super dope. I didn't really watch one specific Simone Biles event, but like I just kept catching the highlights and just being like, holy smoke, she's dominating. Like those first 3 or 4 days. And then I know that like the last 2 days, I think she ended up with like a silver and a bronze or whatever. But
dogs. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think for me, obviously the women's gold medal game in basketball too. Just that final shot and just how close they were to sending that game to overtime, which was a crazy, crazy play to just a skip pass and then a shot, which was crazy. Steph, yes. To me, we're going to talk a little bit about basketball here in just a second. The semifinal game is more memorable than the gold medal game, just because of the comeback. The one moment from the Olympics is going to stay with me for the next 4 years. I think about it at least twice a day. Is the 4x400 women's relay and Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone smoking that field once she got the baton. Like our homie Jesse in the group chat goes, man, why is Sydney going second? Why wouldn't you have her run the anchor leg? And then they passed her that baton, and then it was me out of here. And I'm like, that's why she went second. Jesus. It's just, I don't know how you smoke somebody that bad. Like, and these are the best in the world. It's not like she's racing against us, but it looked like she was racing against us because of how badly she smoked them. I think her time was sub 48. I don't think anybody else on her team ran sub 48. Everybody else was 48, 49 second. And I think it's not a mile. Is that the mile, right? Because that's one. Yeah, 800? That's a mile. No, I think 400 is one time around the track.
Okay, but a mile is 4 times around the track. So 1,600 is mile.
Okay, my bad. So yeah. So again,
40. Yeah, because they're just running 100 meters each, right?
No, they're running 400.
So yeah, so 4 people are running a complete lap, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Hold on, let me see. Let's see. Let me look this up so we can actually. How many 400s make a mile? For 1 mile on an outdoor track, you need to complete 4 laps. So yes,
4 laps.
With each lap being 400 meters. So that's 1/4 of a mile. But either way, the fact that she smoked them like she did. I know they talked about her time in the hurdles, which I think she set the new world. She has like the 6 fastest times ever, and she keeps resetting the world record in the 400 hurdles. They talked about, her time with the hurdles is faster than some people run without them. And then to see her actually do it, it's like, ma'am, why don't you just run the 400 too? Because obviously, if you decided to run the 400, there's nobody in the world that can touch you there either. So that was pretty dope. I think from a controversial standpoint, what happened with Jordan Childs and the bronze medal, which is still a current ongoing thing, is pretty sad. Simone Biles, Katie Ledecky, speaking of women who were smoking people in the pool, being 10 seconds faster than the second fastest person for silver.
She's kind of like this, like under the radar goat. Like, it's like, oh, by the way, Katie Ledecky. Yeah, we forgot about her. It's like,
man. Here's the last thing I say, and we'll get to the Olympics, to the men's basketball team. The person who finished 4th in the 100 meters, right? Like that's some of the, at least for this current era, non-Usain Bolt numbers, those are some of the fastest times in the world. I think a lot of those men ran personal bests in that race in which Noah Lyles comes back and wins that 100 meters, right? The guy who finished 4th, I'm like, yo, I would be sick if I was that close to glory, right? I'm that close to being on the medal stand and having a great story to tell, right? And then one of the homies replies to my tweet and he goes, "Oh yeah, he finished fourth at the Olympics in 2022." And I'm like,
frustrating.
dog. I'm like, I would quit right there. To be that close to medaling twice and not get it. So let me ask you this question before we jump into the basketball. Would you rather, in those individual sports, would you rather finish fourth or would you rather finish last?
It's the same thing.
No, it's not. It is, but it isn't.
Yeah, you're not remembered either way.
It depends on how you finish last. But I mean, I would rather finish last.
No, I mean, if I finish fourth, right? Like, I can at least convince myself I deserve to be there with the gold, the medalists, right? I go home with like bro, you're this far away, you know what I mean? If I finish last, it's like, yeah, we're not doing this next Olympics,
dog. But he probably told himself that 4 years ago that I'm just that far away. You know what I'm saying? Like he told himself 4 years ago, all I got to do is train a little bit, be a little bit better. And right. I too can be on that medal stand and to come in fourth. No, I want to be in last. I'm the 8th fastest person in the world. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody, I mean, granted, no one's going to challenge these men to a race because no one can compete with them. But at the same time, it's just like, bro, like the heartbreak of you only get this type of glory once every 4 years. Your clock is literally ticking. So who knows in 4 more years if this young man will even be able to compete for his country in 4 years. So, you know, he's dog. Yeah, I would rather finish 8th because I just I can't live with the pain of being that close. Hundreds of a second separating me from the podium. I couldn't do it. I'm no lie. I would probably have to be on suicide watch. Like, no, like I would be that distraught. Because I'm watching the race over and over again, hoping for because that Laos race was so close.
You gotta like ask Lord, what did I do?
Man, I thought Noah Lyles lost the race, and I watched it like 15 times back after it happened, expecting a different result.
That's funny.
Man, shout out to Mike. He says, yeah, but he can honestly feel good about finishing fourth. He was 0.1 second away from hitting the medal stand. Painful, but at least you know. I know I'm the 4th fast. I know I didn't make the medal stand. I know I didn't make the podium. That's what I know. I think
that the fact that it's the second time he's missed a medal stand in context of this would you rather, that's what makes it maybe more like leaning towards 8th. The first time though, now I got confidence and I'm like, yo, I'm back. The second time I finished 4th at the second Olympics and I'm like, bro, are we serious right now? Like,
dog. Like, I'm trying to see what homie's name is because I don't remember his name. And like, they only got the top 3. I go to Google, it's only showing me the top 3. Like, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, dog, like, come on, fam. Like, come on, man. I couldn't deal with it, my guy. I could not deal with it. All right, man. Let's jump into this basketball real quick. So. I don't know, Mama Ward. I hope for that young man.
You know what? There is the charm, but unfortunately, the Olympics happens every 4 years, and 12 years is not the charm. 12 years is not the charm at all.
Father Time is race. He's in a race against Father Time, and Father Time is undefeated. He's never lost the race. Yeah, like ultimately, he wins.
You're not winning it at 30.
Dog, like that. Oh my gosh, man. My heart broke for him for real in real time. All right. Olympic men's basketball, they were expected to win gold. They almost for 3.5 quarters. 3.5 quarters. It didn't look good. Mike said, brother, I might have to go into coaching. Man, I wouldn't listen. This is just me. I will announce my retirement and I would never look at a track again. You couldn't pay me enough to look at a track because all I'm going to think about. That's all I'm going to think about. I have things. Listen, I am not an accomplished athlete. I've never played at no high levels, but there are things that have happened to me at pickup games, at church league that I think about to this day. If we get into a conversation about moments and missing your shot in that moment, No,
That
I
man
would
needs
never
to
look at a
start
track
his
again.
LLC called Track and Failed, and he needs to go and put that on a gym somewhere. Track and Failed. If you ain't fourth, you're last.
Oh my gosh, that is terrible. That is terrible. Hilarious. That's probably gonna be the name of the episode. For what'd you say? Track and failed. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably gonna be the name of this episode is Track and Failed. Um. All right, man. Men's basketball. The U.S. men's team, the quote unquote Avengers. Shout out to JC in the building. The Avengers took home the gold medal over the home nation France national team. I think it was 98 to 89 or 87 was the final score. Obviously, as you talked about, Steph Curry went crazy, scoring the final 12 of the final 14 points. As Devin Booker had a quick little outlet layup to close it out. So let's go back to this semifinal game first, real quick. Did you think that they were going to pull that win out against Serbia?
Okay, so I did it halftime. I did not after the end of the third quarter. So at halftime, I'm like watching it live and I'm irritated because I'm trying to bet. I'm like, yo, USA is still going to win this game. And they're down by like, was it 13 to 15 or something like at halftime or something like that? It might even have been a little bit more than that. And they're still like minus 235 odds. And I'm just like, yo, this is ridiculous. I'm not betting on this game. Like they're minus 235. Like that's wild, like at down this much at halftime with the way they're playing, And so I'm like, I'm not betting on USA. Well, then at the end of the third quarter, they're down, I think by 11 or 9 or
13 at the half. 13 at the half, and I think it was 11 after 3.
Yeah, 11 after 3. Odds got a little bit better, but I'm starting to feel like, I don't know if I want to put this money on on USA to win this game because it just looked like you're playing against Serbia. There's some really really good basketball players on that team. It's like, yo, this really is about to happen. And obviously what happened. They came back and they actually ended up covering, I think, the halftime spread, because I think the halftime spread they were still minus 4.5. I think they ended up winning 5 or 6, or something like that.
6. 6 was the final margin of victory.
Yeah, so at halftime they were minus 235 money line, but they're like minus 4.5, like on the spread, even though. But yeah, I thought Jokic, like they know how to play team basketball. Not too many mistakes. Gonna get their buckets. It's gonna be hard to come in here and but sure enough, KD, LeBron, Curry. I think Curry ended up with 30 something that time.
36. I think it was 36. Yeah, 34 or 36. Yeah. Yeah. He went crazy, man. Like I thought that game was over after 3. When they got it down to 6, and then Serbia pushed it back out to 11 at the end of 3. I'm like, there's no way. Like with it being a 10-minute quarter, Serbia they were trying to slow the game down, right? Bleed the clock a little bit, take up some time on some possessions. I thought they were shooting way too many threes. Now they started to fall in that latter half of the third into the fourth quarter. But to see LeBron, to see Durant, to see Steph just say, okay, boys, we got this down the stretch, and to see them take over that game and to play like they did, amazing. That's, again, that third quarter, that fourth quarter, I've watched back several times.
Yeah.
Just because of the theater of it all. Serbia, let me say this before we look forward to 28. I've had this argument with several friends. I know people, me and Quest had a little bit of back and forth online about this, about the 92 team versus the 24 team. I wish there was some way I could prove it to you. I wish I could somehow get Michael Jordan and all the Dream Team guys in their primes to play against this 24 team, or to even play in these Olympics against these teams with all these NBA players. In my mind, there's no way in the world that you would see that Dream Team ever be down more than 10 points to Serbia. I had this argument with at the barbershop. I said, there's a mentality that this team, that dream team had, that this team, not to say that it's that they lack it, but that the level of intensity is just a little bit higher from that squad to this one. And I think, to me, the biggest differentiator between this team and that one is the dream team had pure point guards who could take care of the ball and value possession. That game against France, like that game got tight because LeBron sloppy pass, Curry sloppy pass, Durant. Like, your best players are the ones making these sloppy passes that were leading to turnovers. And thankfully for this team, France was just giving it right back to them. They were having sloppy possessions on their end and turning the ball back over. And I think it would be a great game. I think it would be a close game. But to me, if you're going to give Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, but Charles Barkley, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, 4 to 5 extra possessions, sorry, guys. Like, they're going to cash in on enough of those to prove the margin of victory. I want to get to this point real quick from Mike. The most important stretch was Embiid hitting a few jumpers in a row. Absolutely. Like, the big three got all of the credit for that Serbia win, but they don't get that W without 7 straight points from Joel Embiid. Good defense as well, blocking the shot. He absolutely was one of the unsung heroes of that semifinal game for sure. But anything you want to say about 92 versus 24?
Yeah, at times when I was watching, Anthony Edwards looked like the only kind of guy on the court that had that mentality. You know what I mean? Like, even leading up in group play and leading up to, everything. Like, when Anthony Edwards took the court, I'm like, yo, this dude has somewhat of a dog in him on the defense, on the offensive end of, and everybody else just seemed like they were just out there playing with their friends, at times, until they had to, really, really lock in. And I mean, what can you say? When they did have to, when they were down, they got the job done, because they're the best players in the world. I mean, and that's, what the best players in the world do. But I do agree with you. I don't think the Dream Team would have ever had to be in that position, to do that. But I don't know if it's just, if it's just like they're looking at over there like, man, this is Bogdanovic and Jokic and like, come on, like, you know what I mean? Like.
Right. And that's my thing. Like, the point is, they had NBA players on their team. They had 2. Well, that's not true. There's 3. There's a point guard for Serbia who plays for the Hornets last year. So 3 NBA players on their team that we know of. I don't think anybody else had ever been drafted and sent any time to G League or whatever. But yeah, to me, it just never would have happened. I think the defensive intensity would have been there. I think, and again, I want to keep bringing up these points from Mike. The issue was for U.S. was turnovers, and the first half they played in drop, and it led to wide open threes, and Serbia shot 66% from 3. And again, I feel like at certain points of that game, there was a little bit too much isolation from the U.S. side of things of Anthony Edwards. He really wasn't good in that particular game. Too much one-on-one.
Didn't Steph Curry have 17 of the first 20 points in the Serbia game?
Yes. And then even in that third quarter, when he leaves the game, right, he was part of the reason it got down to 6. He leaves the game, and to me, which was a crazy sight to see with so many U.S. stars, you kind of had a look of, okay, Curry's out of the game. Who's taking a shot? Right? They just seemed to be a little bit discombobulated offensively once he left the floor in that third quarter. So, again, they were lucky to win that game. To me, the France game was never in jeopardy once they pushed the lead out to 7, 8, 9, 10 points. It got tight at the end because, like I said, they just got sloppy with the ball down the stretch, and France made shots. And I'm going to tell you, let's last thing about this, and we can move on to talking about the potential 2018. What did you make of all the Jason Tatum talk?
I think it would have been a little bit more crazy if while he was on the court, he did anything at all. I think the biggest thing about it is that, he just coming off winning an NBA title and, being, having the season that he had or whatever. But at the end of the day, bro, you're on the court with other superstars, and other guys that play your position that, you know what I mean? There's going to be an odd man out, and maybe he should have got a few more minutes, but I mean, he didn't get on the court and remind us that, hey, I'm that guy. You know, I think I saw that he shot like 3 for 16 or something on jump shots. He had a couple.
For
16.
0 for 16.
Okay. Yeah.
Nada.
Yeah. So, there's that. Let me ask you this, though. Like, I mean, the 92 Dream Team is PJ Carlesimo, Mike Krzyzewski, like the coaching that they had against Steve Kerr, Mark Few. You know, like, do you think Steve Kerr actually coached a good Olympics at all?
I think so, because I feel like, again, to make the point, right, they were playing in drop coverage in that first half. I feel like they changed their defensive rotations. I feel like they were a little bit tighter. So, yes, he's making these small changes here and there, right? It's knowing not to play Embiid, right? The game against France, Ego would say, oh, y'all want to boo him? He's about to play for 25 minutes and he's about to dominate, right? Because there's technically no one on the floor who has the size to deal with Embiid the paint. Embiid didn't play that much in that France game. Sitting Embiid in that second game, I think that it wasn't the Serbia game, it was South Sudan was the second game they played in group play, right? Embiid doesn't play in that game because it's not a good fit. So I feel like Steve Kerr made little adjustments here and there, right? Things that don't stick out as great coaching per se, but you have great minds on that bench. You have Kerr, you got Ty Lue, you got Mark Few, you got Eric Spoelstra, right? You have some of the best NBA minds in the game on that bench. I get it. Steve Kerr gets a bad rap, even with the Warriors, of people don't necessarily like his rotations and who gets to play and so on and so forth. To me, now here's the point I want to get back to about JT. The issue on this JT stuff is more about the DNP CDs than per se his level of play. Players around the league are legitimately pissed. I'm sorry, guys. JT got into that gold medal game and he did not look good. It's why he came in, he played, and he went right back to the bench. And I don't think he played again after that in that second quarter.
And he got like a run out dunk, but I mean, he just,
he didn't look good. And this is something that somebody pointed out, and I'm going to watch this going into this NBA season. But they talked about how Jason Tatum waits for a shooter to get into his face before he takes a shot. And there was a play in that gold medal game where it was kind of like a broken play. I don't know if it was a rebound or like a fast break opportunity. He goes to the corner. They kick him the ball. He's wide open. There's no one around him. He hesitates. He waits. French defender finally comes out, hand up, running at him, and he finally takes a shot and he misses it. That might have been the last shot he took in that game. Maybe a minute later, he was back on that bench to stay. He did not play well, and he did not shoot well. And that, to me, with the length of that French team, the fact that it's a smaller court, if you don't have shooters on that floor, they can just, and with no three in the key, they can basically just camp in the paint, cut off all your driving lanes, and dare Jason to take that shot. Because they know he's 0 for 16 too. Yeah. Right? Their coaches have done their work as well. And so, to me, this is something that bears watching because of the NBA Finals. His shot was not good. I don't know if he is fighting through something, some injuries not talking about, but he had one good shooting performance from three in the finals. The rest were abysmal. And it followed him to Paris.
Just like from the jump, he's already psyched out a little bit because he didn't play early, like the DNP's early. He's already just kind of like, I mean, that can mess with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can. I mean, I think it can, but I mean, you're one of the best in the world. Like, you're not on this team by accident, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to jump to 2028. This last point here. The flip side is he was great in the 2021 Olympics, so it wasn't a FIBA thing. You can focus on the shooting woes. He played well outside the shooting. He rebounded and defended well. But man, again, I feel like in those knockout stage games, especially when points were at a premium, you saw what it took to close out that game. You saw what it took to come back in that game. And I just don't know if JT would have been a part of that equation going down the stretch.
He'll be back in 4 years.
So speaking of that, right, in 4 years, it's doubtful. We probably won't see LeBron, probably won't see KD, probably won't see Steph, right? Anthony Edwards said he's coming back for 2028. He said he won't play in the World Championships in 27. So I saw NBA.com put together a list of what they think this roster might look like in 4 years. So, you ready?
Yeah.
We got Bam, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Jaylen Brown, which we'll put a couple of question marks beside that because based on everything that happens, he might say bump it. He might seek French citizenship, to be honest. Paolo Banchero, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Cade Cunningham, De'Aaron Fox, Chet Holmgren, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Derek White. Do you think that team has the ability to win the title, world title in 2028?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I think you'll see some other players though emerge as superstars that maybe are not on that list. That can. And I am a big I know how and I think Dawn Staley came out and said, listen, if we were to base it on how she's playing now, she might have been on the Olympic team. You know what I mean? But if we're keeping it a buck, there wasn't a lot of eyes on women's basketball and the women's Olympic side up until maybe that gold medal game. But if this kid whose last name is Flag is not on the 2028 Olympic team, I don't care if it's ratings. I don't care if he's made an all-star game. The kid's last name is Flag. The jerseys, everything, Cooper Flag will have to be on that 2028 Olympic team.
So I will say this, looking at that roster, that potential roster, I really like it. And I do think it has the ability to win the gold medal. Assuming everyone's playing.
I don't know why they got Derek White on there. I don't think Derek White's in 4 years is going to be as important to NBA basketball as he was just recently.
Well, again, I think because you needed somebody who could be comfortable without the basketball. To me, he was. I heard Grant Hill's explanation, and it made sense. Grant Hill said we needed another lead guard who was a dog of a defender, and he's like, after Drew, he's a guy who's a dog of a defender.
Jalen Brunson on there?
He was hand injury. Remember, he hurt his hand in the playoffs? No. So shout out to Mike. He said Jalen Suggs, by the way. Some potential other players who could be on this team. Zion, I don't know. I mean, Zion, come on, my guy. You got to get together. Zion Williamson, Jalen Brunson. I like Ja Morant. I put Walker Kessler because Walker Kessler was on the World Championship team. And look, if Jokic plays in 4 years, there's nobody on that potential list who can guard him. And if you have to send a double team towards him, you're just opening up the rest of the floor for shooters for Serbia. To me, the player that I would like to see on the team maybe in 4 years is Scotty Barnes over maybe Mikal Bridges. Scotty Barnes is a little bit taller. He's a little bit bigger. He's got the versatility to guard 1 through 4. And if depending on small ball, maybe even the 5. He has upped his assist ratio every year. I think he started 3.3 something a game. He's up to 5 assists a game while lowering his turnover ratio. To me, he can defend. If he works on his jumper, it's improving. That's a guy I think who won't necessarily need the ball because when you have a Jason Tatum, a Jaylen Brown, a Anthony Edwards, right? These are guys who are going to be ball dominant. Who are going to be ball dominant. And I think to me, a reason why you saw Derek White there is you're going to need a guy who's going to be comfortable and who can move and make things happen if he doesn't have the ball in his hands on offense. So
you said Chet Holmgren too, right?
Chet Holmgren, yes. Chet Holmgren. I like Cade Cunningham because I think Cade Cunningham is a guy who can initiate your offense. He can kind of be a little bit of a more what's his name?
Who's going to be on that team? Reed Shepherd.
Hey, listen. I
would love to say Dalton Connect, but I'm just gonna wait and see a little bit on Dalton. But Reed Shepherd might end up on that squad.
I'm not gonna hold you. Cooper Flag, Reed Shepherd, Zion, Scotty Barnes. These are guys that I would love. Cade, I would love to see them on the world team. To be honest, I'm gonna keep it a buck. To me, so the vets, the JTs of the world, the Anthony Edwards, the Bams, they don't have to go to the World Championships. Everybody else, if I'm Grant Hill, if you want to play on this USA roster, you gotta You got to get in the program. And because to me, if these guys show up 2 weeks before the Olympics and think they're going to win a championship, I don't think they medal if they try to go there without having guys who have played together and developed some type of chemistry, because these other countries already have that baked in. All right, man, we can keep talking about this forever. So I appreciate all the comments on it. Let us know what y'all think. Who should be on the roster? What do you think about that potential roster? Does Jaylen Brown play? Does Jason Tatum come back after everything that happened? He might be on some I'll come back, but not if Steve Kerr's the head coach.
Cam Thomas? Cam Thomas?
Nah, Cam Thomas too much of a gunner. Like, I mean, at that point,
Evan Mobley defensively, maybe
not enough offensively. So, like Trae Young would be perfect because he can set people up, but he's such a liability on defense. Yeah. It's open season if you put him on the team. So, like, I'm trying to think of a team that has kind of like this. This team was great in having guys who could not only score, but when they turned up defensively, they could switch. They could guard other players. They guard bigs. They guard littles and make things happen.
Is trending this way or trending this way, and then like the other countries are trending this way? Like,
no, I mean, because like I feel like we're still trending up. So there's all this talk about the American, the international players are taking over the game. And I'm like, guys, do you go watch the under 18 championships? How we are like spanking, winning by 60 points, right? Like it looks like dream team type stuff. When you go U23, U18, we're winning gold medals easily.
Yeah.
What's happening is you have, like Mike said, France, who are going to have a golden generation because you're going to have Risa Shea, Koulibaly, Star, Wembanyama, Ntilikina has NBA experience, right? Who knows if my man who dunked on LeBron, he might get back in the league and pick up. For sure, right? He might be back in the league, right? So they're going to have an NBA roster. Canada, most of their players are going to come back. Zach Edey didn't play for them this year. He might be a part of that team in 4 years, right? So to me, France and Canada are kind of right. If
Wiggins,
what's my man from Wiggins is not making that team. He's old and they're better options. So those two countries are going to be superior threats. If Jokic plays in 4 years, Serbia is still going to be a threat. Listen, man, South Sudan, if they find a couple of more
sponsors, they need somebody to put some money in it other than Luau Deng, bro. Like they said, they practice outdoors the whole time. They didn't even have an indoor court they practice on.
So they talked about that. They are building a facility in Sudan that they will be able to play in coming. So they will have a place. Yes, but I mean, they got a bunch of guys. You know what I'm saying? Like they got a bunch of guys who have
Gunner or what? Mayock. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Shayok. Which again, I said this on Twitter. I'm going to say it now. The fact that Mario Shayok is showing all this offensive explosion shows you that Tony Bennett should be arrested for war crimes against basketball for how bad offensively Virginia's squads are. I just want to throw that out there too while we're talking about it. But South Sudan has a bunch of really good teams, good ballers. That team is going to be a tough one too. So it's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be interesting to follow. Again, we could keep talking about this forever because I love basketball. Let me say this last thing, and we will move on. Move on to college football. Well, actually, if we have time, we'll jump to college football. I want to get to Math 6.
Go to Math, yeah.
I get it. Football is king in this country, right? It pays a lot of bills for a lot of different people, a lot of different networks. But man, there is nothing like basketball. When you got when you have that USA-Serbia game, that France, I mean, I think they said 19 million people, I think, watched that game, that gold medal game. When you have heavyweights who are slugging it out, when you have a game that is back and forth like that, their football cannot replicate that action. They can't replicate that feeling. When you see Steph Curry throw up a three, like the RDC skit that they did about, well, who's on the team? Well, we're just going to double Durant. Well, they got Steph. Okay, well, there's 5 players on the court. We can just double him. Well, they got LeBron.
Yeah.
Wait, that was that skit come to life, right? When you have Steph Curry doing his thing, we have LeBron James doing his thing, Anthony Edwards, windmill dunking, There is nothing in sports that can replicate that feeling and emotion that basketball can, man. And it is why it is, for me, my favorite sport, and to me, the best of team sports. But that's neither here nor there. That's another argument for another day. All right, let's jump into this, man. Let's get into this battle rap. Y'all have to let us know what y'all think about the Olympics, USA men's basketball, women's basketball. I will say this about WNBA as we head out the door. It'll be interesting to see if they can maintain momentum that they built going into the Olympics, but taking off a couple of weeks and now coming back. Game started last night. Yes, I think the Fever do play tonight. So, I mean, the Golden Girl, I think, is playing tonight. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that momentum that they had going into the playoffs and so on and so forth. So let us know what y'all think at Brains and Bars, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. All right. So Mad 6, TBL, and association with King of the Dot, bring Mad 6 going down next weekend. I mean, it's a 2-day event.
Golden Girl just has a casual 16-5-5, and it's not even halftime yet, and they're a 20-point lead on Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi right now.
Wow. Well, I'll say this for Phoenix, back-to-back, right? Second night of a back-to-back. They smoked Chicago last night, who was without Kennedy Carter.
Yeah, it was.
So I mean, second night of a back-to-back, right? So I'll cut Phoenix a little bit of slack, but that is impressive because I do think Indiana was on an upward trajectory heading into the break. So good for them. Good for them.